Now at 7, Lyft and Uber fight over Eau Claire.
Plus, UW Eau Claire's lower campus is finally under construction.
And UWEC's forensics team heads to nationals.
But first, even though it's not required in the Common Core education standards, some Wisconsin students are still learning cursive. Elementary schools in Eau Claire, Chippewa Falls, and Altoona are still pushing the handwriting technique. Eau Claire's academic services coordinator says practicing handwriting and cursive is done in the context of other learning. For example, classroom time for handwriting and cursive is shared with keyboarding lessons. However, while it remains embedded in the curriculum, the district places less emphasis on it than it once did.
Roadwork has started on campus, but it may be digging up trouble. Could this construction be an obstruction? BNN reporter Allison Arnold has the story.
Development for the Garfield project began last week on Garfield Avenue, and its goal is to replace the road with the campus mall for students and visitors. According to the university website, the project has 4 main features. These include replacing underground utilities and getting rid of the Putnam parking lot to make room for an outdoor classroom. The project will also include construction to make the campus footbridge flow more smoothly into the center of campus and a place for pedestrians and bikers to travel. An article on the UWEC homepage says that the estimated $12.4 million project will restrict accessibility in some areas during construction. The main construction company on the project, Haas Sons, will have fences up around the construction during the spring semester. These fences will block off the north entrances of the old library and the McIntyre Library. The Schofield accessible entrance will still be available for use along with the north entrances of Putnam and Thomas Hall. The article also says that the footbridge will be closed during the summer. It will stay open through commencement, but will then close until the fall semester. Students on campus have mixed feelings about the changes.
It causes traffic to be a little more cramped. It's a little busier. Doesn't look very pretty. I'm excited for what's going to happen, but I won't get to enjoy it because I'll be graduated. So I will live through the construction and not get the benefits, but it does seem really, really cool and it's really exciting.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the path. I expected it to change in May and I wasn't expecting it this early. I knew that construction was going to begin, but the sidewalk change was a bit of a surprise.
I've seen a couple things, like designs of it on the website. It looks pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of annoying right now, but I'm sure it'll look nice in a couple years when it's done.
The project's webpage says it will be completed by fall 2018. For Blugold News Now, I'm Allison Anhalt.
Fine Arts Center and Governor's Hall will be delayed. This came after Governor Scott Walker deferred the renovations for both projects after the new budget. Some members are concerned delays will mean increased costs for future maintenance and argue the facilities are outdated. Assistant Chancellor Mike Rindo says the university can obtain funding for minor renovations in the meantime through the All-Agency Program. The program allows any state agency to request funding for repairs and maintenance.
The Lyft taxi service has only been in town a few weeks, they already have new competition. Uber in Wisconsin turned 3 years old in March. To celebrate, they launched in 3 new cities, La Crosse, Wausau, and Eau Claire. The ride booking service, Uber and Lyft, have both expanded their locations recently. Lyft launched in the Eau Claire area on February 23rd, while Uber followed soon after. Pricing for Uber and Lyft differs only slightly. There's a minimum cost for both ride booking companies, but it depends on what package is selected. Still new to the area, Uber and Lyft are growing and able to help those in need of a ride.
Nervous for your speech in class? Imagine giving speeches as an extracurricular activity, and our Eau Claire team happens to be very good at it. BNN reporter Katie Baker has the details.
The UW Eau Claire forensics team hosted an evening of champions on Monday night to showcase their nationally ranked performances. Speeches ranging from informative speaking to dramatic interpretation, members of the forensics team can really do it all. Team member Sydney Tupy explains the many performances and speeches she contributes to the team.
I do all interp, so all the 5 categories of interp: duo interpretation, poetry interpretation, prose, drama interpretation, POI, program oral interpretation, and then I do impromptu in addition to that. So it's a lot.
The team will also be traveling to 2 different national competitions coming soon. Team member Colin Pittman explains the first competition and what it means to the team.
Over the next few weeks, we are going to 2 different national tournaments. The first one, the American Forensic Association tournament in Peoria, Illinois at Bradley University. We are leaving later this week, and we get to compete for 3 days among some of the best performers in the country, and it's really amazing to see the stuff that goes on there. It does take quite a bit to qualify, so being there in itself is an honor because you get to prove that you actually did really well with this piece, and you get to take it and show it to even more people.
The forensics team is a great way to improve your speaking skills, but gain some great friends and experiences along the way. First-year team member Emily Shepardson explains the benefits
I feel like I'll
of
be
the
able
team.
to see such forensics since high school has made me a better speaker, and through college forensics, it's made me a better person. So my best friends are in this activity, my role models are in this activity. I have never had something be so positive in my life.
The second Nationals tournament will be held at our own UW Eau Claire.
Forensics is cool. If you're considering it, do it.
For BNN News, I'm Katie Baker.
Coming up after the break, a man completes a 170-mile journey in a wheelchair.
And a memorial billboard for bicycle safety goes up in northern Wisconsin. More on that when we come back.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Doesn't see race. Love is love.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Adults who allow teenagers to drink in their homes would be breaking the law under a new bill two Republican lawmakers are circulating. The current law prohibits adults from allowing underage drinkers to consume alcohol in their premise or under their control. Representatives Andre Jacque and Senator Van Weingard want to extend the law to include adults who host underage drinking in their own homes. The proposal will stop parents and other adults from hosting underage parties and providing alcohol to teenagers. A similar bill in 2013 failed to pass.
Legislators are poised to order an audit of a UW System schools' relationships with their private foundations. The move comes after UW System regents in January accused UW Oshkosh's former chancellor and an accomplice of theft. The regents filed a lawsuit accusing the pair of concealing millions of dollars in improper financial transfers to the school's nonprofit foundation. The regents argue money should only flow from the foundation to the university.
A man using a wheelchair has completed a 170-mile journey from southern Wisconsin to Lambeau Field. 55-year-old Dennis Schultz arrived Saturday at the Green Bay Stadium, accompanied by a crowd of about 40 people, including family and law enforcement. Instead of using a wheelchair, Schultz put on a prosthetic leg and walked the last mile to honor those who cannot walk. Schultz got to meet Green Bay Packers general manager Ted Thompson and briefly stand on the famous field. Schultz started his trip from Janesville in February. The Beloit native lost his right leg 5 years ago in a truck crash. He now makes wheelchair travels for charity and says his journey to Lambeau is not the last of his travels.
This week marks 1 year since Michelle Costa Bryant was fatally struck by a driver while riding her bike north of Anigo. In her honor and to advocate for road safety, her friends and family worked to create a billboard that reads, "Watch for bicycles." It also features a picture of Costa taken days before she died. Her family hopes it reminds drivers and bicyclists to stay vigilant as the weather warms up and more riders hit the road. The Costa family commented they have hopes the billboard will save just one person.
Lawmakers are considering a series of bills to crack down on drunken driving offenses in Wisconsin. At last Thursday's morning hearing, lawmakers looked at a bill that would impose a mandatory prison sentence of at least 18 months if a person commits a fifth or sixth operating while intoxicated offense. Another bill would mandate any person convicted of homicide while driving under the influence to be sentenced to prison for at least 5 years.
Coming up after the break, Republicans' health care bill has failed. So what's next in D.C.? We have the details.
And a family receives worldwide support after the death of their daughter. More on that when we return. You're watching Blugold News Now.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. Already posted it.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
President Trump says he is a world-class deal maker, but when it comes to Capitol Hill, he's learning deals do not come always easily. Fresh off their health care victory, Democrats are now looking to threaten Trump's Supreme Court pick. CNN reporter Scott McLean has the details.
I think the losers are Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer because now they own Obamacare. They own it.
After being dealt a critical blow on health care by fellow Republicans, President Trump may need help from Democrats to advance his agenda.
If they got together with us and got a real health care bill, I'd be totally open to it, and I think that's going to happen.
Lately, Democrats are feeling triumphant.
It's a victory. What happened on the floor is a victory for the American people.
And with their improved bargaining position comes more leverage and the power to stand in the way.
It's going to be a real uphill climb for him to get those 60 votes.
Pressure is building from the liberal base to oppose the administration at every turn and push for a possible Democratic filibuster of Judge Neil Gorsuch's confirmation vote.
If a judge can't meet, a nominee can't meet the 60 vote standard, you don't change the rules. You change the standard.
A filibuster would force Republicans to use the nuclear option, changing the rules to require just 51 votes to confirm Gorsuch. Republicans seem ready to hit the red button.
No Supreme Court justice has ever been stopped with a partisan filibuster. We are optimistic that they will not be successful in keeping this good man from joining the Supreme Court very soon.
But Democrats up for re-election in red states may have to walk a fine line.
I'm still taking input from Montanans. I think this is one of the most important decisions a senator will make, and that's confirmation of a Supreme Court justice. But my decision will be coming soon.
The confirmation vote for Gorsuch is scheduled for next Friday. In Washington, I'm Scott McLean.
Mayor Bill de Blasio says the widely popular statue of a young girl staring down Wall Street's famous charging bull will be allowed to remain through February 2018. De Blasio says the artwork, called Fearless Girl, has inspired many people and fueled powerful conversations about women in leadership. He calls the decision, quote, a fitting path for a girl who refuses to quit, end quote. The Daily News says that the statue, which stands on Department of Transportation property, will get a longer-term permit through the department's art program. It originally was supposed to stay until April 2nd.
Prosecutors in Bill Cosby's sexual assault case in Pennsylvania are fighting defense efforts to question 2,000 potential jurors. They also want the jury selected weeks before the scheduled June 5th trial so jurors can prepare the trial. The trial is being held near Philadelphia, but jurors are being chosen from the Pittsburgh area nearly 300 miles away because of worldwide publicity. The defense bid to start jury selection June 5th could delay the testimony for weeks. Cosby is accused of drugging and molesting a woman in his home in 2004.
A 10-year-old Piper Foss died in a rodeo accident in Cadwell, Texas on March 18th. In the week since then, her family has received messages of love and support from all over the world. Alan Christian from Temple, Texas didn't know the Foss family, but after hearing about Piper's tragic death, he delivered a handmade wooden bench with Piper's pictures on the back of the seat to the family. The Foss family is receiving hundreds of unique items from all over the world. And accomplished rodeo rider Weston Hughes handed over his back number from his biggest rodeo to show his support for Piper. And Foss says family emails detailing trail rides organized in Piper's honor are coming from as far away as Switzerland and Germany.
Up next in weather, BNN's Max Harding has us ready for the transition into spring with warmer weather coming to campus.
And in sports, our Matt Halverson takes you through the spring break that was for the Blugold softball team, as well as a look ahead to the unique event coming to campus next weekend. Stay tuned, you're watching Blugold News Now.
Hi folks, I'm Garth Brooks, and I know there's a lot of talk about high taxes and the high cost of health care today. But did you know there's something very simple that you can do to help? And that's just be a safe driver. 1, always wear your safety belt. And 2, never drink and drive. Traffic accidents alone last year in the United States cost all of us over $100 billion, and we all share that cost. So do your part. Get involved. Highway safety is everybody's business.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Preventing wildfires. That's all Smokey wants for his 70th birthday.
I dare you. I dare you to change the world. Yeah, you. Getting that college education.
I dare you to be somebody important.
Like be a teacher or a reality TV star.
I dare you to stand up here.
To call the shots.
To be a role model.
An inspiration. An innovator.
To be a teacher.
Think you can change my life?
Make me excited about science like you.
Have a career that really means something?
Then do it.
I dare you.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Good evening. Tonight we have our Blugold weather report. First off, let's take a look at Upper Campus. Now, I didn't really want to take a photo of Lower Campus because it looks pretty awful with the Garfield project. As you can see, it was a overcast day. The temperature today was a whopping 50 degrees, which is a lot warmer than we've had in past weeks. We're starting to get that finally that transition into spring. Moving on to our local temperatures. Over in the Twin Cities, 49 degrees, 50 over in Hudson. Down in Red Wing, a little bit cooler with 46 degrees. And over to the left here, we have 42 down by Black River Falls, a little bit cold down there. So moving on to our national radar. Over here in the Pacific Northwest, we have a very large rainstorm coming in, mixing with the low and high pressure systems. But look at this, across the plains. Massive storm cell coming across. It's hitting us right now. If you take a look outside, it is raining. But up here in the, well, up there in the northeastern part of the country, up in Nova Scotia and Canada, we are still seeing a little bit of winter with some snow. Moving on to the local radar, all along here. This is all rain. Eau Claire is just up here. We're in this little amount of land. You're just about to get hit by this massive rainstorm, but the majority of it is going to go to the south of us. Let's take a look at our 7-day forecast. So on tomorrow, it's going to be 45 degrees and pretty much a little bit overcast. And on Friday and Saturday, it's going to be partly cloudy, going all the way up to 58 degrees. On Sunday, it's going to start out a trend all the way until Tuesday, with some overcast days. You can see 54, 54, 54, 55. A lot of samey feeling days. It's going to feel like days are moving over and over, kind of like in Groundhog's Day. So either way, it is going to warm up a little bit. Spring is finally here. That's all I have. Now for sports with Matt Halverson.
Thanks, Max. Spring breakers weren't the only ones heading south last week. The Blugold softball team was in Florida for a pair of tournaments against non-conference opponents. The 8th-ranked Blugolds won 11 of their 12 games, highlighted by a pair of shutouts from senior Lauren Blazek and an impressive debut from freshman pitcher Cheyenne Johnson, who recorded a no-hitter in her first appearance as a Blugold, just a walk away from a perfect game. Now nearing the halfway point in the season, the Blugolds boast the best non-conference record in the WIAC at 14-2. Eau Claire opens conference play next weekend with a home doubleheader against UW River Falls. As for now, the softball team is back in action this weekend for a pair of doubleheaders in Iowa. The men's and women's tennis teams, as well as the track and field team, were in action over break. Those results can be found online at bluegolds.com. But for now, we turn to a more unique competition coming to Eau Claire next weekend. For the second time in 3 years, UW Eau Claire will be hosting the Collegiate National Table Tennis Championships. The competition will take place in the McPhee Center from April 6th through the 9th, with 40 teams, including a total of approximately 1,000 competitors. The field is highlighted with former Olympians as well as Olympic hopefuls that will compete right here in Eau Claire. As for the Blugolds, UW Eau Claire will be fielding its own team in the competition. According to Visit Eau Claire, economic impacts of the event for the community are estimated around $80,000. Tune in next week for a full preview of the Table Tennis National Championships. That'll do it for sports.
If you ever get a craving for pancakes, here's a pro tip. You probably shouldn't do that in the middle of traffic.
A Florida man is facing criminal charges after allegedly eating breakfast in the middle of a busy Lakeland street Tuesday morning. And that's why this is our
favorite story of the week. Eyewitnesses placed 21-year-old Kieran Tamas sitting in a chair in the crosswalk of with a small table in front of him. According to the Lakeland Police Department, the table held a bottle of syrup and a plate containing a complete breakfast of bacon, eggs, and of course, pancakes.
Officers were called to the scene, but apparently Thomas fed and fled. He was gone by the time that they had arrived.
However, they were able to identify Thomas after someone tagged him in a Facebook video forwarded to the department.
Wow. What a way to get caught on Facebook. I mean, that's exactly what would happen to me, I'm sure.
That's awful. Also, what would the charge for that be? I wonder what the criminal charge for that is.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good way to spend your morning, though. Like
sitting out eating breakfast in the middle of traffic.
I think that's pretty nice.
I don't know what else I'd rather be doing.
I know.
Well, that's all the news we have for you tonight.
Tune in next week for your 7 p.m. newscast.
Make sure to like TV10 on Facebook and subscribe to BNN on YouTube. I'm Taylor Pomisel.
And I'm Kaylin Schumacher. Thank you and good night.